Hi, I'm Saeunn, and I'm a cellist, soloist, and chamber musician, cellist of the Manhattan Piano Trio, and founder and member of Dakota, a New York-based chamber music ensemble. Today I'd like to talk about Bach's Prelude to the C Major Suite, and especially about some bowing choices that I think are really interesting. There are no manuscripts of Bach's handwriting. There are only copies, and there are 4 or 5 of them that we know of. The one I find most interesting and most compelling is Anna Magdalena's copy, which there's even a theory out there that she actually wrote these suites, but anyway, I'll let you decide on your own. These pieces are so important to all cellists and really have been referred to as the Bible for good reason. These are such treasure troves of cello music and solo playing, and work on all of the basic technical and musical issues that we have as cellists. So one of the things that I really love to do is to look at all of the copies, and I encourage you to do the same, and really study the differences in the bowings of all of the different copies. I like to take Anna Magdalena's as a good starting point, since she hopefully would have been the closest, being Bach's second wife, and copying many of his manuscripts. So the prelude is predominantly 16th notes, and it being sort of a rhythmic stability, you'd kind of take that element away from it a little bit, and the harmony and the phrasing and the gestures become even more important. It's almost like when we close our eyes, taste and smell and hearing become even more important because you take one of those senses away. So looking at Anna Magdalena's copy, I find one of the most interesting things and the most consistent things in her copy is that there is really a lot of inconsistency, a lot of variety in her bowings. There are lots of sequences that come again and again and patterns that repeat, but she doesn't necessarily have the same bowing for each time it repeats. And I find that really interesting, and I find that you can find so many colors and a range of expression when you change the bowing in these sequences. I wanted to show you an example. So in measure 35 in the score, this is a transitional section. We've gone from a very kind of scalar beginning, and we're transitioning into a more chordal section. And this transition, the basic element of this is the downward scale. Going to the C major. Now, in between that scale are these repeated notes, F, G, F. So in her facsimile, she writes an interesting bowing that I wanted to share with you. So the first 4 16th notes are separate. Then the next 3 are separate, and 1 is slurred into the next group of 4 16th notes. And then they're separate, slurred, 2 separate, 2 slurred, 2 separate, 2 slurred, and then slurred 2, separate 1, and then slurred into the next. And then you're off on a different thing. So let me play that for you one more time. I think that's much more interesting than trying to make each pattern sound exactly the same. Now, she does do the pattern the same way in the next section, in the chordal section. It's interesting to note that most people play this section 4 to a bow, so it would sound like this. very sort of smooth and regular. Now, to me, she clearly marks 3 16th notes to a slur and 1 separate. So each of these, and it happens 45 times, and she writes it the same way 45 times. So I think she meant it. So the pattern sounds like this: 3 slurred, and then there's 1 separate. So obviously this is a little bit more intricate bowing-wise, since we have to play 3 notes on a bow and then recover in 1 note. And in order to do that, we have to be very, very flexible and light on that 1 note when we come back. The other thing is to make sure that your elbow is in the right place for each string, and to keep the right hand loose so that it can follow through with the bow. So so the impetus comes from the elbow, and the hand just follows through very loosely. So the reason I'm going through all of this stuff is because bowing was such a virtuoso thing back in the 1720s, around the time that this was written. And these days we usually think of virtuosity coming from the right hand, and the pyrotechnics of going really high and really fast. But during this time, it was really much more impressive if your bow was fast and agile, and you could basically turn on a dime. And I think Anna Magdalena really shows us that with her markings, and I encourage you to go through and see what she has done, and the other copies as well, and compare and come up with your own bowings for these suites, because they're really, really interesting. One more thing that I wanted to talk about are the chords at the end. I said that there were basically 16th notes. Right at the end, there are these big chords that sound very dramatic, and I think it's easy for us contemporary cellists to break them. They're 4-note chords, so it's easy to break them into 2 double stops, such as, so you go, and that's a very sort of romantic gesture. But I actually like to take a clue from our harpsichordist colleagues, who have such intricate ways of rolling their chords, and they can be so expressive, and I think we cellists can really learn a lot from them. So especially in this chord, I think there are many ways that you can be more expressive. One of them being to bring out the bass note, so something like that, or if you feel that it's more important to bring out the dissonance of the F and the G, you can really sink into that first double stop. Or if you think that it's most important to hear the leading tone of the B up on the A string that then goes to the C, then what you might do is emphasize that top B. And then going down. So there are lots of different ways, and I encourage you to play around with them and really make some decisions based on the harmonic tension and release and all of the richness of these suites, and really go for that expressivity. In the end, each cellist has to find their own interpretation of these Bach suites, and professional cellists come back and again to them, finding different meaning, deeper meaning, finding different colors, and just having fun finding all the little intricacies of these Bach suites. So I encourage you to go and explore these suites, and I'd like to play for you my interpretation for today. But again, it's always up to you, and good luck.